Live whenever they get ready. Oh, let me do that. No, no, I don't want that. I didn't know you can do that though. Okay, done. All right. That's not what I was trying to do. Nope. I don't know what I'm doing here. There you go. All right, this is Sports for Real. And I am counting down to a little bit of basketball tonight. Still buzzing about the last college football playoff game we had, the semifinals that took place down in Miami between Penn State and Notre Dame. Two regional teams in the same area that don't play a whole lot, but when they do, they always tend to have some good football games. And I told you guys before the game took place that I thought that it was going to come down to two things: whoever controlled the line of scrimmage and whoever won the turnover battle. Well, okay, hold on. I'm not mic'd up properly here. So let me start over again. Okay. I said it would come down to two things: the turnover battle and who won the line of scrimmage. And what ended up happening was the line of scrimmage battle, it kept going back and forth. In the first half, it was pretty much dominated by Penn State. Then Notre Dame caught lightning in a bottle, came out, took control of the line of scrimmage, started moving the football. And then after that happened, then Penn State woke back up, and then it started going back and forth. The turnover battle, it didn't quite work out like I thought, but it was the critical turnover of Penn State, who didn't turn the ball over all game, waited to the final minute to throw an interception, and Notre Dame was able to take that and move into position to kick the final, the decisive points. And I don't know what Aller was thinking. I know everybody's hyped up for that one shining moment where you got X amount of time on the clock, you got 3 timeouts, all you need to do is kick a field goal, and he wanted to be the hero. Well, where he was throwing the ball to was not a bad decision, but he was not in position to make the throw, and his throw was off, and it was actually, the guy made a great play on the ball, but it was a little bit ahead of his receiver, and the guy was able to make a dive and catch on it. And that turned out to be the difference in the game. Yeah, Notre Dame turned it over twice, but it's not sometimes when you turn it over. I mean, not how you turn it over, but when do you get the one that goes your way. All right, Snowy says, hi, I'm Phil. McConey say, where are you? I'm down here in Florida. And Abazar says, hello. I guess that means hello. I put a little poll up tonight. Who you think is going to win the game between Ohio State and Texas? Let me know what you think. But that was a great game last night, and it turned out kind of like what I thought it would be, a kind of old school style football, and that's going to make for a compelling matchup next week for the championship, no matter who wins tonight, because these two teams here are high octane, and they should score a lot of points tonight. And before I get to that, I want to say we hope everything works out pretty well out there in California with the fires and everything. And being that the participant is Ohio State. The last game they played was in the Rose Bowl, but now you got fires raging all around the Rose Bowl. At this time, the Rose Bowl is safe, so they're using it as a staging area for refugees, for people who have to evacuate their houses. So you can see the stark contrast between the Rose Bowl with the football crowd, and now you have these people with the fire situation, and it's kind of a bad thing. What's good, Kanye East? Okay, funny dude. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm obviously choosing Ohio State. They the best. I don't know about that, so let's talk about it. Ohio State, since losing to Michigan, they have caught lightning in a bottle, just like the way Notre Dame come out at halftime last night. They ran off Tennessee at home, then they turned around and obliterated Oregon. Now everybody thinking that just because that occurred previously, they're going to continue to run through the rest of the field. They'll run through Texas tonight, and they'll run through Notre Dame next week. Well, I don't think that's quite the case. I think when you look at Tennessee, I think Tennessee, a little bit overrated. That's a good football team, but all the mistakes and the things that caused Tennessee to lose games, they did all of those things against Ohio State. Secondly, game planning came back to bite Tennessee. The Ohio State players came out after the game and they said that all the preparation that they did for Tennessee, down and distance, all those situations, what to expect, Tennessee did exactly what the scouting report said they were going to do. Now, if you're a good coach and you're coaching in this situation, you can't go into these games doing the exact same thing you've done before. So Tennessee, not only do they have issues with certain situations, they got out-coached. They did not make the adjustments they needed to make. Now, they playing in Ohio State's backyard. You say that's a big advantage. They felt like they should have been playing a Rocky Top, but I don't think it would have made a difference based on the preparation of the Tennessee staff against Ohio State. They got out-coached. Secondly, Oregon. They put 34-0 up on Oregon before they finally woke up. Now, what they did, they looked at the film from the first game they played, and they saw how did Oregon beat us the most. Well, the guy had a quick read scheme, and if it wasn't there, he took off. And they was hitting on all cylinders at that time. But Ohio State saw that. They came up with a different coverage scheme, and they put a spy on the quarterback. So that you can see clearly when the guy got ready to take off, he saw the spy, he pulled the ball down, backed up, and tried to throw it again. By that time, the rush got to him. Too late. Now, let's talk about Oregon's offense. At the beginning of the season, Oregon, they struggled for the first 2 or 3 weeks to get their offense untracked. But once they got it untracked, they were hitting on all cylinders and nobody could stop them. Once they got to the game against Oregon, they hadn't played in like a month. So that timing and rhythm that they had, it wasn't there. It wasn't there because they were rusty. They looked in that Rose Bowl game exactly the way they looked the first couple games of the season. And it took them a while to get going. By the time they started to roll a little bit, it was already 34-0. Too late. They weren't going to catch Ohio State at that point. Yeah, they can put some points on the board and make it close, but the way Ohio State is playing with their confidence, they weren't going to catch them. So now, again, people are thinking that Ohio State's invincible. Well, let's tell you how Ohio State can lose. Let's go back to the Michigan game. What did Michigan do? A team that couldn't run the football, well, run the football pretty decent, but they couldn't throw the football, and they had a good defense. Even still, Ohio State should have beat them by 2 scores. What Michigan did, they rushed 4, and they mixed up their coverage on the back end, and they were able to pick off Howard a couple times. Add to the fact that Ohio State missed a couple of field goals, and that was a perfect recipe for an upset. If you're going to beat Ohio State, you got to come up with a similar program to what Michigan did to them. Amelia says, so do you hate the Wolverines? No, why would I hate the Wolverines? I don't hate any of these teams. I'm just talking football. I'm telling you what Michigan did to Ohio State to beat them. they wasn't a great football team. They weren't complete. They had a great defense. They had a decent running game, but you still have to have the passing game to really be effective, and Michigan didn't have that. So because of that, Ohio State should have won that game by at least 10 points. But they had a game plan that they operated. They had the confidence that they can beat Ohio State because they had done it 3 times in a row. So why not? And the game went just like Michigan had pretty much planned it out. So Ohio State, they had to go back to the drawing board. And what you hear out of that camp is, well, we're going to stop trying to be as much traditional Big Ten and go back to doing the things we do best. And that is operating from the outside in. You have those 2 receivers, Smith and his buddy out there. They are the catalyst that make Ohio State's offense go. And if you can slow those guys down, you have a better chance to beat them. But Tennessee and Oregon definitely did not do that. So now you got the guy Smith talking like he's uncoverable and he's invincible and all that. None of that's true, man. First of all, if you're going to beat Ohio State, you have to have speed. If Texas doesn't have anything else in this world, they're going to have speed. So somebody in that secondary is going to be able to run with Smith wherever he goes. The question is, what kind of plans does Chip Kelly have tonight to move him around like he's been doing? Problem is, when you start scoring all these points on these other teams and you're moving Smith around in all these different locations, now he's on tape. There's only so many different places he can go. And like I said, it comes down to coaching. Oregon got out-coached. Tennessee got out-coached. Texas, I don't think they're going to be able to out-coach Texas. They're going to have to outplay Texas. And any mistakes that Texas makes, they have the speed to make it up. So when people say that Ohio State is going to run right through everybody, I don't agree with that. But the question of the video is this. Can Ohio State maintain that chip on their shoulder of me against the world? And if they can, why don't other people copy that? Well, I want to break that down a little bit because I don't think that the idea that they got that didn't come strictly from losing the game to Michigan. Yes, they were disappointed in all of that, and they felt like they should have beat Michigan. But I don't think that is the reason why they got so mad against everybody else and they wanted to prove a point. What ticked Ohio State ticked them off was not losing the game to Michigan. It was the fact that Michigan tried to plant that flag on their field and they got into a fight. If that fight doesn't happen, then Ohio State wouldn't be playing the way they are right now. Yeah, you can say all day long it's me against the world and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. But no, it's nothing like being insulted when somebody plants that flag on your field like that in the manner that Michigan did that. It was insulting in a lot of ways, and the players took it as such, and that's why you had a brawl on the field. And I don't see how Ohio State managed not to get any players thrown out of the game for that or suspended for the rest of the playoffs, but it didn't happen. But they were right in trying to protect their home field from their main rival. It just added a different element to everything, and it has caused Ohio State to go on this tangent of me against the world, and everybody's wondering how long can they maintain it. Well, as long as they keep playing teams like Tennessee and Oregon, whom they clearly outcoached, they're going to keep on rolling. But I don't think that's going to happen. Even if they get by Texas, they're still going to have to play against Notre Dame, who believes in themselves, and they're going to try to impose their game plan on the winner. And by that I mean they're going to try to run the football. And if Notre Dame is able to control the clock, don't turn the ball over, they're going to be right there. And who does that remind you of? It reminds you of Michigan. That's the way Michigan plays. But the difference is Riley Leonard is a better quarterback than what Michigan had. So if they can run the football and hit that play action every now and then and control the clock, then Ohio State, they're going to have to hold on. Now, I've seen Ohio State roll before, and all of a sudden they get knocked off. No team is invincible is what I'm trying to say to you. And because of that, this is going to be a great game tonight. And if you notice with these college football playoffs, every round, every next game has always been better than the last game. And because of that, I think the College Football Playoff Committee did a great job of putting these playoffs together, despite all the controversy everybody's talking. Because if you are truly a champion, it doesn't matter what seed you are, you can come from anywhere. As long as you're hitting on all cylinders and you're playing good football, then I don't think it matters. And Notre Dame, coming out of that 7 seed, there's no doubt that Notre Dame deserves to be in the playoffs. Now that they made their way to the championship, they justify themselves. So when I see people like Cam Newton talking about, well, we don't want to see Notre Dame because they hadn't really done anything in the past 15 years or so. He said since Rudy days or something like that. And I think that kind of talk is crazy because what happened in the past don't mean anything. And by him saying we don't want to see them, he's basically saying that because they're not in the SEC, they're not a household name that everybody wants to talk about. So he basically saying that all he really knows is the SEC, and if an SEC team is not playing, then it's not somebody he wants to see. But I say that's hogwash, because if a team can play, I don't care what part of the globe they come from, if they can play football and they win games in advance, then they deserve to be there regardless of what you think about them. But this is the kind of ideology that you have down here in SEC land, like nobody else can play football. I find it ironic that all those longtime blue bloods, the Notre Dames, the Ohio States, Indiana's, not Indiana, but Texas, these guys, they've been around a long time. And when the SEC was playing games that didn't mean a whole lot, these guys here were at the top of the college football world. They were fighting for respectability to get noticed by them. But then the SEC comes along and they get it going, and now all of a sudden they're better than everybody else, and they should control everything. And then when you put the teams on the field, lo and behold, the SEC teams get beat. I'm not hearing a whole lot from SEC land nowadays, but before the playoffs, this team needs to be in, that team needs to be in. That team there doesn't deserve it. It should be more SEC teams. Lane Kiffin is the main proponent of that. He can't stop talking about how they, beat Duke and talking about how they ranked and all that. That's got nothing to do with anything. He just happened to get a favorable draw in the bowl game, and he wants to rub it in their face. But all that comes back to get you in the end. He's going to get whipped again himself one day. But I think that the SEC is still a great conference. They will come back and win at some point. But right now, the way that the college football playoffs are set up, when instead of you picking two teams you think are the best, you put them in a bracket and you have to play your way out. Now you're seeing different results. And I think if you had done this for the last 30 years, that list of champions you've seen over the years, that list will look a whole lot different. I'm certain of that. So what about tonight's game? I had picked Texas to win the SEC and the national championship, so I'm going to have to stick with that. But I'm a little afraid about Texas. Not because they're not worthy enough to win. I'm afraid because of the way they've been playing. They scraped by Clemson. Then they should have lost to Arizona State. Now, here comes Ohio State, the hottest team in the tournament. So if they come out and they start beating around the bush the way they did against Clemson, and they give up the points the way they did against Clemson, they allow a team with a bigger heart like Arizona State to get back into the game when they had control of it. If they falter in any kind of way, put the ball on the ground a lot, bust a bunch of coverages, then this could be a long night for Texas. But I just think they got the magic ingredients. I think Quinn Ewers has grown up enough that he can make enough throws to get by Ohio State, simply because they got the speed on defense to slow Ohio State down. And it's going to come to that. But if they get to beating around the bush, like I said, and Ohio State is still red hot, then it could get ugly. But I just don't see that happening. It's going to be a high-scoring affair, I think. And I think that Texas somehow is going to find a way to win. They should have lost last game, but you survive in advance. That game's over with. Everybody's at 0-0 now, and you got one more chance. And I think Texas is going to find a way to pull through. It's going to be a great game. Unfortunately, I won't be able to catch it from the start. I'm doing a basketball game tonight. Perhaps I may go live with that. I don't know. We'll see. High school basketball. And but I keep my ears open to what's going on. But it should be a great game. And like I say, it should be a high-scoring affair. And keep an eye on the outside. The speed of Texas against the wide receivers of Ohio State, that's going to be the difference. And can Howard make enough throws, along with Quinn Ewers? It's going to come down to the quarterbacks who can make the best throws in this game. But expect a lot of fireworks and note the adjustments the coaches make against the other team's offense. So whatever defense step up to play tonight, that is the team that's going to win. But regardless who wins this game, the championship game is going to be a stark comparison between two different styles of play. And that'll be something interesting to see if you like styles, just like boxing. Styles make fights. Styles are going to make for a great championship football game. Now, also tomorrow, you got the NFL playoffs kicking off. And I forget who's playing the early game, but I know in the evening game, Pittsburgh is going to play Baltimore for the third time. Pittsburgh, as you know, has lost 4 straight games. And because of that, a lot of people aren't giving the Steelers any hope of beating the Ravens. Why? Because the Ravens have run off about 4 wins in a row. Well, I am not one to think that Baltimore is going to win this game. If you've been following me at all, you know that I affectionately call the Ravens the regular season Ravens because they do what they've been doing. They get the fans all excited. They make some records, and people get to thinking like this could be the team to win the Super Bowl. But they overlook the flaws for the fantastic. When you're playing in the regular season, teams don't generally give you their best game plans. Take the Steelers, for instance. They know Baltimore, and they know that there's a possibility that they could face Baltimore in the playoffs. So why would Pittsburgh want to show Baltimore everything that they're going to throw at them come playoff time? I think the Steelers are holding something back to break out on the Ravens for tomorrow. Why have the Steelers lost 4 games in a row? Because they turned the ball over. If they don't turn the ball over, then they win at least 2 of those, and they would be AFC North champions. Now, the last time they played a couple weeks ago in Baltimore, the Ravens doubled them up, 34-17. Blowout, right? Wrong. That game came down to 2 plays. The first play, Russell Wilson scrambled, got a first down inside the 5, and going down, he fumbles the ball. That's 7 points off the board right there. Second thing Russell Wilson did, he threw a pick 6. So you fumble going in, and you throw a pick 6. That's 14 points. You lost by 17. But people don't see minor issues like that. The game was much, much closer than you think. And it's going to be another close game tomorrow. But I think that Pittsburgh, out of anybody in the league, know how to defend Baltimore. Now, that's not to say anything about Kansas City. Kansas City, has been making a lot of mistakes. And I want to say this. The first time they played the Ravens, I don't know if you guys remember this, they had a situation where they brought in Justin Fields to get the first down. Basically, he had it was a running play where he outran the team to the other side. So you have 2 quarterbacks with a contrasting style. What you might see this time, going back to that coaching thing we were talking about, they may have both quarterbacks on the field at the same time, keeping the Ravens guessing, throwing them off guard. They're going to come up with something to keep the Ravens guessing. And I think little plays and quirks like that is going to make the difference for Pittsburgh. But if they turn the ball over, then they're going to lose again. But if they don't turn the ball over, Pittsburgh, I think, is going to win this game. They're going to win this game because they know how to defend Baltimore. And that's not to say anything about Kansas City. Kansas City showed you, if you didn't already know, that there's a blueprint to stopping Baltimore. And I know they picked up Derrick Henry. He's having a great year. But I don't care if they had a Hall of Fame. Then Bruce Lee says hopefully he can position to be the top dog. But, trying to get Cincinnati, they threw that deep out route to him. He drops. I think I think it may come down to whoever can run football better. It may come down to whoever can run football better. But whichever defense shows up is going to make all the game. And game tonight, I won't be able to catch the first half of that game. I won't get to it until late in the third quarter. So meanwhile, I'll be doing a little basketball. If I get a signal strong enough, then maybe I'll film it live. You know, just to be able to run. It's going to cause some match. Be able to run. It's going to cause some matchup nightmares for the Buckeyes. So how will the quarterback Howard deal with the speed and the separation distance that he normally would have? Is not going to be there against Texas. So how will he adjust to that? And again, will Texas show up, or will they still struggle the way they did primarily through the first two rounds? It's not the Texas I've seen. But I will say this: if the Texas team that showed up that blew out Michigan, they show up tonight, Ohio State's in trouble. I said it here first. So wherever you are in the world, you guys have a good night. Enjoy some good football tonight. We look forward to them Steelers tomorrow, man. But it's going to be a great game tonight, and I'm looking forward to it. Meanwhile, got to do a little basketball work, so I catch you guys on the other side. Till next time, this is Sports for Real. I'm out.